So, the Xbox Series X console is coming out fairly soon, and one of the technologies that has been announced is smart delivery. So how does smart delivery work? Does it mean I will get free games? I'm going to explain all and tell you about some other great Xbox features. So for all the latest tech news, gaming news, and reviews and comparisons, don't forget to press subscribe and don't forget to press that bell. So, in this Xbox Series X gaming news, I want to share everything we know about smart delivery and ray tracing. But first, I want to hear from you below if you are excited about the new Xbox Series X or you'll be buying a PS5. Let me know below in the comments, as I would love to know what console you are planning on buying. So, with Microsoft doing their next Xbox Series X event in July and showing off Xbox Game Studios Xbox Exclusives, most of these games will probably have smart delivery enabled. So we have heard that Xbox Series X will be packed with loads of features, and some of these include ray tracing and also the ability to play games at 8K and 120 frames per second. But the one feature some people are still trying to understand is what is smart delivery and how does smart delivery work? So I've decided to make you a little guide. So, how does smart delivery actually work? Well, first of all, we need a smart delivery enabled game. So a game that is coming out later on this year is CyberPunk 2077. And basically, let's say for example, I own a Xbox One S console at the time when this game comes out. Now traditionally what I would do is I would either download this game, or if I had the disc version, I'd put the disc into my Xbox One S console, and then with a connection to Xbox servers, what would happen is that Xbox would determine that I've got an Xbox One S, and what it needs to do is send me updates or the game in 1080p HDR, and it needs to send the Cyberpunk game in that format. And what would happen is that would get sent down to my Xbox One S. Now let's say later in the year I decide to save up and buy myself a Xbox Series X console, and I decide to keep my Cyberpunk 2077 game and decide to put the disc inside my Xbox Series X console. Again, the same thing will happen. I'll have a connection to the Xbox servers, but this time, as I've got an Xbox Series X console, but I've still got the same Cyberpunk game, Xbox works out that what I actually need is a 4K or 8K ray tracing HDR Cyberpunk game down on my Xbox Series X. So what will happen is that download will come down to my Xbox Series X, and then I can play it in full 8K with ray tracing, HDR and everything else. Let's say next year I decide to buy myself a second-hand Xbox One X console, for example, and I decide to put in my Cyberpunk 2077 into this console. Again, with that connection to the Xbox servers, the Xbox servers will work out, you have an Xbox One X, so what you'll need is a 4K HDR Cyberpunk version of the game, even though we're still using just the same disc. So that will get sent down to my Xbox One X. And this basically means that we can have the same game, but we can have the updated graphics or the right graphics depending on what console you actually own. And this is how smart delivery works. So, Xbox fans, for example, you can actually laugh that PlayStation 5 announced that GTA 5 is coming to the PlayStation 5 and players will need to re-buy it again. However, for Xbox fans and people who own an Xbox, with smart delivery, all you need to do is have a copy of GTA 5 for Xbox One, and in theory it will just work on your Xbox Series X, and you'll have the updated graphics, and at the same time you won't have to pay for the game again. It will be like having a free game, but PlayStation fans will still need to buy themselves a new edition for the latest console. Now, I know the updated PS5 GTA 5 will have a few more missions and a few more extra pieces, so we'll have to wait and see if there'll be an additional cost on the Xbox Series X to have this. However, these features may come out on the Xbox One as well, and again, you only need to purchase it once for one Xbox, and it will be associated to your Xbox Live account for any of the Xboxes you own that can do smart delivery. So, another feature I want to talk about is ray tracing. Now, I want to talk about ray tracing in general, not just for the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. At the end of the day, this technology actually came out on PC first, and it's been out now for a couple of years, but a lot of people still don't understand how it fully works. So what is ray tracing and how does ray tracing work? So I'm going to try my best to answer the question behind that. So ray tracing is a rendering technique that can produce incredible realistic lighting effects. Essentially, it is an algorithm that can trace the path of light and then simulate the way that the light interacts with virtual objects. It ultimately hits in the computer generated world. We have seen in-game lighting effects become more and more realistic over the years, especially in the last generation of consoles and in PC gaming, but the benefits of ray tracing are less about the light itself and more how it interacts with the world and objects it touches. Ray tracing allows for dramatically more lifelike shadows and reflections, along with much improved being translucent and scattering over surfaces. The algorithm takes into account where the light hits and calculates the interaction and interplay, much like what a human eye would do, and how it processes real light, shadows and reflections. So for example, the way light hits objects in the world also affects which colours you and I actually see and what kind of colour shadows form on those objects. With enough compute power being available in modern computers and the strong power coming from the likes of the Xbox Series X and the PS5, it's possible to produce incredible realistic computer graphic images that are nearly as good as real life. But up to a few years ago, this was a problem. Even a well-equipped gaming PC only a few years ago didn't have the raw power of GPU power to work with, let alone a modern game console at home of the last generation. Ray tracing is used extensively when developing computer graphics imagery for films and TV shows. But that was because studios can harness the power of, say, an entire server farm or cloud computing to get the actual job done. And even then, it was still a long and laborious process to actually complete. Ray tracing in the next generation consoles, whether you buy a PS5 or Xbox Series X, or if you get yourself a brand new computer with a really meaty graphics card, will demand a lot of power from the hardware inside. I believe ray tracing will also cause a lot of noisy fans to be at work and a lot of heat created by the components inside these next generation consoles. We'll just have to wait and see how the new 2020 consoles will cope with it later on this year. In my honest opinion, as much as the next generation PS5 and the Xbox Series X is boasting about running games at around 120 frames per second, I think that ray tracing will cause those frames to drop a bit because of the demand of compute power. Yes, the next generation consoles are a beast, and I will agree with that, but ray tracing requires an awful lot of power, and at the end of the day, if they're causing a lot of heat as well by doing this, I believe that the next generation consoles would start to throttle and those frames per second might drop a bit. But that is just my honest opinion. Well guys, it is time to wrap this video up. Does ray tracing sound like a technology jump in the gaming world? Do you also understand now how smart delivery works too? Please do let me know your thoughts below. Also, if you have liked this video, please remember to press that like button now, and if you want to hear the latest gaming news, tech news, reviews and comparisons, don't forget to press that subscribe button and the bell at the same time. Until next time guys, see ya.